David MacKinnon.
David MacKinnon.
MacKinnon!
非常にいいバッティングをしています。レフトへ伸びていくか、下がって狙いった、見上げた、デビッド・マキノン。
So the funny thing about preparing to play some baseball in Japan,
Let me guess. You can't actually prepare for it?
no, you have no chance of preparing. Bingo, dude. I'm David MacKinnon, still adjusting to retirement, still learning how to pronounce these Japanese words that I once butchered a couple years ago.
You're butchering American English as well, so that helps. And I'm I'm Jasper Spanjart, the guy who thought he knew what Japanese baseball was like until he actually saw it. Today we're talking about David's preparation for his first trip across the Pacific.
Preparation is one way to put it.
It's a generous way to put it, right?
Yeah.
This is Pacific Swings Welcome, where we bring you inside stories from baseball's global stage. And today's story is about everything David got wrong and right before he even stepped foot in Japan. So let's look at the beginning, mate. How did Japan even become an option for you?
So pretty much Japan became an option because I got to the big leagues in 2022, and after my 6-game illustrious Oakland A's career, they're not even the Oakland A's anymore, I went hitless in 13 at-bats. It wasn't
You were
great.
so bad they renamed the team. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, wow, we need to change. We're moving to
Something
Sacramento.
needs to change, yeah.
So after that tough career, I got non-tendered, and when you get non-tendered, you just don't get offered a contract for the next year. You get taken off the 40-man, become an immediate free agent. So I had really good numbers in AAA, and I became a free agent. I was looking at different places I could potentially play in the States, different teams that were offering, probably have 6 or 7 teams offering for like minor league deals, nothing for the big leagues. And then Korea came in, and the LG Twins flew in to come see me hit. I was taking some swings and at the place like right down the street from me that I do some lessons at now, and was taking swings, hit good. They offered, they kind of lowballed, and then like that night, the Cebu Lions came in, and they went higher. It was just crazy. It was a crazy 24 hours.
But what was your first thought, though, when even you have to try it for the Twins, right? Sure, did it feel like a job interview, like any other job interview you might go through? What was that like?
Well, yeah, it was funny because you're trying to have your normal off season, but they're trying to sign guys as by the end of November. They're trying to have their team all set by the end of November. And so I hadn't even touched a bat. It was the beginning of November. You kind of just take October off, don't touch a bat, and then you start getting into it again like December. And so that was the first time I touched a bat, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll offer you." And I was like, "Oh, thank God," because let me tell you, like I haven't done anything the last month and a half. So yeah, definitely crazy to like pick up a bat and be like, all right, there's a lot of money on the line potentially, you know?
But was there any sort of element of surprise for you where you were like, wow, a Korean and a Japanese team want me? Like,
Yeah, there was definitely surprise, but also like the fact that I needed to work out. I was like, I mean, hadn't they seen me play all year? Like I hit like 320 in AAA. So I was like, do I need to go hit right now? Like yeah, I don't think you're going to see much better than you saw during the season, you know?
yeah.
So that was kind of a panic type thing. I was like, oh gosh, like I hit 320 and then I could lose a job right now just by going and having a bad day because I haven't swung a bat because it's off season and the first month of the off season. So that was kind of a little bit of a panic. But yeah, it was kind of surreal because I'd always thought like, oh yeah, like Japan and Korea, that'd be cool. I mean, obviously every United States kid growing up in the US, their dreams to make the big leagues and stay in the big leagues. So it's not like your dream to like make the big leagues, be horrible, and then go overseas because you didn't get the biggest opportunity. And then when you did get the opportunity, you just didn't get hit, you know? So that's
Yeah.
not like the dream. The dream's to like get up there and
Rake.
and you just the best player ever, and you're just starting every day. And
Yeah.
that's the dream. But the reality is that's just not reality for everyone. For a lot of players, it's not reality, you know? So
And
this was my
yeah,
way of going over. Yeah, my way of
yeah,
going over helping my family.
yeah, especially I think though it's not even that though. I think not a lot of players even get to make it to the show, let alone then have the opportunity to go abroad, because that is there's quite a unique list of players that is able to make that move eventually. Like
Hmm.
it's not just for everyone who doesn't, quote unquote, doesn't make it to the majors, like doesn't
Yeah.
make it in the majors. Can you talk a little bit about I know you and I have talked about this before, where you get to the MLB and then it's like, okay, yeah, we'll give you a few at bats because you only played like a few games for the Angels. Then you get released, you get picked up by the then Oakland A's, and they're like, yeah,
Hmm.
we'll give you 6 games, and then you're off again. It's
Yeah, yeah,
like, do enough people realize how small margin there is for error, or
yeah.
just a
I
little
mean,
opportunity you actually receive there?
yeah. So I mean, to put in perspective, where you get signed, where you get drafted, definitely has like the more money that's put into you, the more opportunity you're going to get. That's every job like in the world. So you can't get mad about that. That's every job in the world. You're paying a scientist or a doctor $3 million a year. They're going to be getting the big stuff, like the big cases. They're going to be getting all the big things. Same with baseball. You get a guy that's on $30 million a year. He's going to be out there every day like that, regardless if they're slumping. Maybe they get a break, but like he's out there every day, you know? So in regards to baseball, someone signed for $10 million, I signed for $3,000. I'm not going to get as much of a leash as say that guy that signed in the first round for multiple millions, you know? So yeah, there's definitely pressure, but I felt like I had pressure my entire career to the point where if I had a bad week, a bad month, like I was gone, you know? So it was a lot of pressure for built up for, I don't know, probably 12 years of playing baseball because in college, like I had to be good the whole time in order to even get the 32nd round. Um, like I hit 360 in college and I barely got drafted. So like there was just pressure my entire career to perform. And then once I got to the big leagues, I mean, I'm used to playing every day. I think everybody in the minors and in the college is used to playing every single day. So when you're all of a sudden like facing like a lefty every like fourth or fifth day, but like the lefty's disgusting. He's not like, oh yeah, he's just like a lefty, like a 90-92. It's like, no, it's like Framber Valdez or like Jesus Luzardo. It's like they're
Good
not
luck.
good. Like
Yeah.
yeah, they're just disgusting lefties. It's like I'd rather face the righty not throwing as hard, you know. But yeah. So it's just hard to go from like just not having the consistent at bats and like being thrown into the fire and like learning how to pinch hit, which I feel like I did a pretty good job learning how to pinch hit. But dude, it's tough, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. And like you just talked, I think, about you just made the perfect connection because you're used to playing every day. And then it's like, yeah, we'll DH you every now and then. It's like, yeah, you wait 3 days before you play another game. And then what you just said, you face, because based on righty lefty matchups, you get the tough lefties. And it's like, it's
Hmm.
just tough. So delving back into the move, the transition, the big Pacific swing, what did your preparation look
See
like?
what you did there.
And please, please tell me you didn't just watch Mr. Baseball.
Yeah, no, I mean, my research was I Googled stuff, I Googled the teams, I Googled the stadiums to see, like, how big they were, how many people they held. There's one good website for the MPB, like, it shows all the teams, home field, it shows everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
Shows some good players on the teams. So, I did all the Googling to kinda get myself but I nothing prepares you for how they play and what pitches are going to be thrown and like the shoot dough, which is just a two seamer. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a two seamer. But I mean, I'm guilty of watching Mr. Baseball and thinking I was going to be fully prepared for what's to come. But it did definitely prepare me for some things that I would not have been prepared for. So they did a great job, kind of showing what Japanese baseball is really like. And Tom Selleck
Yeah.
was
Tom
awesome in
Selleck
that.
is one of the greatest of all time. So for those who don't know, Mr. Baseball is a 1992 movie, so that's before David and I were born, where Tom Selleck plays a sort of aging American player who goes to Japan. Like no team wants him in the US, so he goes to play in Japan. And I think Ken Takakura, who's like the Japanese Clint Eastwood, plays the Japanese manager. who has to deal with this sort of brash, arrogant American who thinks he knows everything about baseball. Like, yeah, I played for the Yankees. I know what baseball is. And it's baseball. It's basically sort of a baseball stereotype. It's sort of the stereotype of American players going overseas.
We got a call from a manager in
Far East.
There's no way I'm gonna play in Japan.
Jack's way, always making jokes.
Do the hokey pokey! Turn yourself around!
baseball's a game. Games are supposed to be fun.
Bit of a romantic comedy there, but I mean, it's also just brilliant, right? It's just a superb film for me.
It's unbelievable. Tom Selleck's character at the beginning is just he knows everything. He knows what he's got to do in order to get his body right, in order to perform. Really no respect for the other culture, no respect for the game.
Yeah,
and
refuses to bunt, right?
Refuses to bunt. Yeah, the Japanese baseball style, and the Japanese manager, he really broke him down, I guess, and like got him to really change how he thought and changed how he worked, and yeah, just him adopting like the Japanese culture and the Japanese baseball culture like made him a better player, and he ended up going back and playing, or he was going to go back and play for the Dodgers, I think, or something like that.
Something like that.
But
Yeah,
he stayed for love. I remember that.
Yeah, he stayed for love. Yeah. but seriously though, it's a great film. But did you take anything away from that film, or did you sort of take something into account later where you were like, you're in Japan and you're like, I have this Mr. Baseball moment now where I'm like, I feel like Tom Selleck right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's two big baseball moments where I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the movie. This is literally Mr. Baseball. And the first one was like their spring training or whatever their training field is, it's all dirt. And I was like, oh my God. When we got to spring training, it was the all dirt infield but it was deep. It was like a deep dirt infield. And the grass didn't seem like it was that far because the dirt went so far back. But like the field was still huge. And so there was the all dirt infield. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then also the biggest one was like, I remember watching them, they're warming up before the game next to the dugout. I mean, that's weird. Like that never happens in American baseball. Like you just go out to the right field line, like get some jogs in, loosen your body up, and you go play. This is like team warm up in front of the dugout with like the fans yelling like, come on, gambate, gambate. And I'm like, yeah, like when I'm like, yeah, let's fight. Like, let's get them.
Let's get them.
Yeah. So that was kind of, it was exactly the same as Mr. Baseball had, but I wouldn't have thought that, because that just doesn't happen in the States. And you have to get used to that for sure with the team warm up right in front of the dugout.
But that automatically leads to another question. You immediately create more of a connection, right, with the fans. And I know we talked about this in episode 1, and I know if people haven't listened to that, go and listen to it. Finish this episode first and then listen to that. But does that immediately create that connection though, where you're like, yeah, I want to fight for these fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think the connection starts in spring training when you get to Japan and they come watch you, and like some people stay for a week, 2 weeks. They watch you every day. I remember it was pretty bad weather, raining a lot, and they're out there watching. We're watching us. They come inside to watch us in the indoor facility, scrimmage outside, like they're in the rain, they're in the sun. It's cold. It's only like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 55, because it was cold. It was not warm. We didn't go to Okinawa like a lot of teams went, and it was nice and warm. Like that's where I went for the KBO with the Samsung Lions. We were in Okinawa. It was really warm. So yeah, they're grinding out there, and you form a connection because you kind of see the same people every day. And then those people are at the games and you see it. That doesn't happen in the States. Like, there's too many people at the spring training complexes and they're not there long enough. They're usually bouncing from team to team to team. Like these fans are at their team's fields only, like they're watching their players, their teams play.
That's really cool, though. First moment, though, in the locker room, or even like during you, because I know we used some of the footage of your presentation. So you had the sort of press introductory event when you first signed for the Seibu Lions. Let's talk about communication. Like, how did you prepare for that language barrier?
Well, obviously, it's hard because like the Japanese language is in symbols, So like, if I'm to talk in Spanish, I can at least read the letters. I got no idea what anything says in Japanese. So they try to, like when we were trying to read things out, writing it out in English, like how it would sound. And I'm like, it's just such a different language, you know, it's just so much different than English. So, that's definitely, that was tough. I mean, you try your best to communicate, but you're just reading off the kind of teleprompter thing and you're trying your hardest, but it is tough. I never got better at it too, because I just don't know what it says or means or anything.
Yeah.
To me, it just sounded like sounds. I think if you're around it long enough, like you'll get better and better at doing it. And once you learn what things mean, but I had no idea, and I'm just trying to make sounds and hope it was right.
What was the communication like with your teammates in that time where you're like, you know, even if the manager is coming over to have a conversation with you, I think a big part of Mr. Baseball is that, right? Having a conversation with your manager, and you look at Tom Selleck like just being confused. Did you have any of those sort of interaction at the start of your
Well,
Alliance career?
well, so Matsui-san was our manager, and
Yeah,
it was
Kazuo
almost like it was
Matsui,
the
yeah.
same. It was almost like the same as Tom Selleck's manager, where he knew English. He didn't speak much English. Tom
Yeah,
Selleck's manager spoke English, but
yeah,
Tom Selleck's
fluently,
manager
by the way.
told
Yeah.
him not. He didn't tell him that, which is hilarious. Um, but no, Matsui-san spoke some English, and he understood a lot of English. He would still use the interpreter because he could explain things better through Japanese. But he understood most of what I was saying, so that was kind of cool, and that kind of reminded me of Mr. Baseball. The other
Yeah.
funny thing was one of my teammates, like at the end of spring training, Yamamura, he literally was just like at the end of spring training was like, "Yeah, guys, I know what you're saying." Like in no accent, no nothing, like to me and Peyton. And I was like, "What? Like, how do you know what we're saying?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm like, I went to international school. I know English." Like no accent at all. And I was just dying. And me and Mark Payton looked at each other. We're like, "Dude, we could have been best friends all spring training. You didn't even talk to us."
It would have been worse if he came out to you at the end of the season where it's like, oh, by the way, yeah, got all the conversation.
Yeah,
Like,
and like we talked a lot more after that, and he didn't understand sarcasm, so we were working on sarcasm as the season went on.
so looking back, what do you wish someone had told you before you went?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was decently well prepared, but the travel like to and from games was definitely tough. I'm like on the road, I'm saying. Cause say we go to SoftBank or we go to Hokkaido, we're on an airplane, you're going like train, transfer, train. There's like 4 transfers. So you're on 4 different trains, and then you are at the airport for an hour. Fun fact about that, they don't check ID or anything. You just have your ticket, hop on for domestic
Yeah.
flights, which was crazy to me. And then you hop on there, either get on a bus or you'd get on get a taxi, and you'd head to the hotel. It was just a long day. So it didn't seem like it was gonna be that long, but like from leaving the apartment all the way till when you got to your hotel is probably 6, 7 hours, sometimes 5, 6, 7 hours. Just a long day.
And I know, like, if you have to go from one train to another, it can get particularly like you can't really settle down, like
No.
because you know the next train's going to come up in half an hour, so you can't really fall asleep. You're just sort of chilling and waiting for for the next train, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're just wait, or it's like you have a 6, 7 minute transfer, and it's a full blown panic to get to that one, you know, and you're just like sprinting to it. It was like the foreigners, and we were just like, we'd have our Google Maps open. It's like we took the shortest route ever every time, the fastest routes. We'd be like, all right, we have 3 minutes, 4 minutes to transfer, and we'd just be like, hop off the train, just running to the next one, you know.
yeah. You don't want to be late for your game either,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then they're just, yeah, there's the Cebu Lions foreigners. They're just a bunch of idiots running around.
Even the fans waiting at you, like pointing at you, like, oh, there they are again. Like,
Yeah.
they're
There they
gonna be
are
a
again.
bit late for the game now. But that's pretty cool, though. I mean, for you, like coming from the US, where you're not used to, you know, even the train system, right? Because
Yeah.
you typically take the car, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't, I've I've taken the train like once or twice, even in Boston. Because I've gone into Boston. We used to take the train every once in a while in like the Celtics games or the Bruins games, because it literally brings you straight into the Garden. Like at the bottom, you just go up. But other than going to the Garden or something, I just never took the trains really. So it's just not that convenient in the States. So to use it as like your only form of transportation was crazy. Like the baseball, there's adaptations and you have to like adapt and figure it out. and see different pitches that you've never seen before and try to find ways to hit the ball a little bit different than you hit it because the balls are a little different. But like changing the lifestyle from the US to Japan and Korea, super tough because it's completely different. A lot more walking around, not knowing what signs say, not knowing how to get around, not knowing where to go to eat. Like it's just like everything your world's just blown up and it's just so hard to adjust. That I think is the hardest adjustment. It wasn't the baseball, it was the lifestyle.
Was there anything that the team did for you beforehand where you went like that was useful for me to sort of figure it out later on in Japan?
Yeah, so the coolest thing I think the Cebu Lions did, shout out to the Lions, was they every day leading up to once we signed, I think it was like the last month, every day leading up to us coming over, they sent like a fun fact or a thing to prepare you, like just something to prepare you. They sent it over in an email. All the foreigners got it. You could read it and like kind of like understand what the Cebu Dome was like, what the train system was like, all these different things. So it was pretty cool that they kind of sent over different things for us to look forward to and us to expect, which was kind of a nice way. You kind of felt like you were a little bit ready.
Yeah, a little bit, at least a little bit. Yeah.
A little, yeah. You're never gonna be fully blown ready, you know.
Say we were to remake Mr. Baseball, and obviously Tom Selleck would like star as the manager or something, but
Uh-huh.
David MacKinnon would be the leading role because, of course, David MacKinnon would be the leading role. What would be different about that film? What would you change?
So the I think the biggest thing where I thought as soon as you got into the locker room, like your shoes were off. That's kind of one of the things where when we were in the locker room, you like the locker room wasn't a place you needed to take your shoes off.
Hmm.
That was one of the only places that you didn't need to take your shoes off in regards to like at some certain restaurants you needed to take shoes off. You're supposed to take your shoes off at someone's house, same in your own house. But yeah, in the locker room you didn't have to. I remember Tom Selleck got yelled at for not
Yeah,
for having his shoes on in the locker room. So that was one thing I think I would definitely. Maybe the times have changed since that was filmed too. I don't know.
could be.
Maybe it was like that back then. So probably, I would say probably that.
Yeah. How but would it be a different movie though in this sort of era where I think
Well,
I
yeah, it
think
probably would because back then it seemed like they were hitting a lot of homers, and now it seems like it's really hard to hit homers. You know, Tom Selleck was breaking records hitting homers, and now it's like now it's near impossible to hit homers. So
it's a tough place to hit a homers. Yeah.
yeah, now like I think it would be a lot more small ball in Mr. Baseball than it was back then.
Yeah. Would he bunt though? That's a big
No,
question.
he wouldn't bunt still.
It was.
The funny thing was though, like that was never a thing. That was
No, it's
also
not
like
right.
that would never be talked about for a foreign hitter. Like they would never make a foreign hitter bunt because their job is not to bunt, you know? Like so I guess that's another thing where we could probably say like, yeah, probably that's probably not accurate because they don't
Totally
bring
wrong.
foreign
Yeah.
players in to bunt ever.
No.
Like the manager would get fired if he made a foreign player bunt. Like the foreign player can bunt on his own if he wants, but they're not telling him to bunt because they're supposed to hit doubles and homers and stuff and get RBIs. You know?
Yes, I think it's just stereotypes, right? We talk about sort
Yeah,
of
for sure.
the way Japanese baseball is played, and we have a sort of stereotype image where a stereotypical image like, yeah, we have 8 guys bunting the ball and 1 guy to hit home runs. Well,
Yeah.
if you watch an MPB game, that's not really realistic. Sure,
No.
bunting
No.
is like squeeze bunting is more part of the game. It is part of the game, and having the infield in, having the outfield in, the strategies can be different, but it's not like
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of guys that really can hit for power in that league.
Yeah. There are. So I mean, I might get some love for this, might get some hate for this. I've seen it both on my Twitter, where they're like McKinnon's right, and then they're like McKinnon, no, that's not how we do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, to each their own. But I
You're
do
probably
think,
you're probably wrong, but it's fine. Go
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, I'm probably wrong. I'm always wrong, but I do think that I do think that bunting in certain situations very smart, like to maybe 1 or 2 guys in each lineup. But like bunting when we have 1 out, bunting like to hand it out and like hope we get a hit with 2 outs is tough, you know. Outfield in with less than 2 outs or whatever it was, like the outfield in or the infield in certain situations. I feel like it hurt us more than it helped us sometimes. And like I'm talking like in general, like I've seen MPB games where like they get hurt more than it helps them sometimes. So the different strategy, um, yeah, I don't know. The strategizing is totally different over there. Trying to cut down runners. They bring the whole outfield in. Like we actually threw a guy out at first base from right field one time, which was crazy.
Did you? That's
Yeah.
never
Ito
happens.
threw a ball. Yeah. Ito one hopped the ball like perfectly to my chest, and we threw a guy out at first one game. So it does work sometimes.
Yeah.
But we also have gotten beat multiple times with like just normal fly balls over the outfielder's head because we were playing in trying to cut down a run at home.
Yeah. Shout out to Ito though. I really like him as a player. I really quite. He was good.
That dude,
was,
Ito. When we played that first month in April, he was the greatest hitter of all time. Never seen a better hitter. The dude hit like 400, and everything he hit was just smashed.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
No, I think he's with.
And shout out to Ito. That's a sick name too.
Yeah, Ito is a sick name. It is a
sick name.
Yeah. Yes. And I think he's with the Marines now, isn't he?
He's with the Marines now. Yeah. Yep. I always remember because like the Marines, we always had those games where like we were always close, and the Marines would beat us a lot in these close games, and we always brought our outfield in, and then they brought their outfield. It was just like back and forth, just like bring everyone in, push it was fun.
If there's one piece of advice, like say an American or anyone else in the world, like they're offered to play in Japan, what would you tell them?
I would say the biggest piece of advice is obviously you have to stick to what got you there, right? Stick to what made you get a contract in Japan and Korea, overseas, but also learn because there's some really good players over there. Like watch, ask questions to some of the coaches because a lot of the coaches are like national heroes, some of the best players, the legends of the league there. A lot of the legends are coaching in those leagues. So just ask questions of like their mental approach, their physical approach, and just be ready to learn. Cause I learned a lot of things there that I probably wouldn't have learned here because you're talking to such high level hitters. Like you're talking to their David Ortiz's, their Barry Bonds. You're talking to all those guys don't retire and just stay away from the game. They retire and usually coach. So you have a lot of high level coaching, but you just need to be open to learning and stick to your guns, but also like ask a lot of questions and try to learn as much as you can because you're gonna learn a lot, and then you're also gonna see some pitches that are pretty nasty. So talk to the pitchers too because they have different ways of thinking and like so just have an open mind.
And watch Mr. Baseball.
Definitely watch Mr. Baseball. That'll get you ready. Be ready to warm up as a team on the first base, third base line right before the game starts. And take in and out. That was another crazy thing. Taking in and out before the game was wild to me.
For the non-baseball audience, tell them what that means.
So yeah, typically like in the big leagues, you're taking infield, outfield. So like you take infield, outfield during BP. You'll take ground balls. In Japan, you take infield, outfield. Not every day. Actually, some teams take it every day, right before the game. So like you get a full team workout right before the game starts, and like the fans love it, you know. So as American guys and foreign players, you're just not used to having to go out there like 45 minutes before the game to do ground balls, fly balls, warm up as a team. Like you're not used to that. You just go up 15, 20 minutes before, get your run in, throw a couple balls, you're good to go. So that was a big adjustment. But yeah, that's different for sure.
Pretty cool though. So I think the main conclusion is we need a remake of Mr. Baseball. We need David to somehow find some acting talent and star in that. Probably that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, if Tom Selleck was to coach me up a little bit, this podcasting thing's not that hard, you know. So Jasper coached me up. It took like a week, and I'm pretty good at this
just
now.
A week, yeah. Natural
it took like
talent.
a week, yeah. And I'm built different. That's what people say. So I feel like maybe I'll give it a month of acting, and I could probably be Tom Selleck-ish. You know, I don't know if I'll be Tom Selleck because I mean the facial hair, then
that's going to be tough.
I can't be that, but if I can be like that,
we
have something.
Well, also, if Tom Selleck, if you're listening to this, please come on the show because we would love to talk to you.
Yeah,
I'm sure Tom Selleck's listening. I'm
He's
sure.
for sure listening. I'll DM later. He'll definitely hop on.
Just give him a call. Yeah, it's fine. So this has been another episode of Pacific Swings. Next episode, we're talking to another player who made the journey. We won't reveal yet who it is. So more stories, more insights, and more evidence that baseball gets interesting when it crosses ocean, coming to you soon. Do you have any final words? You're just going to stay quiet.
Oh, yes, I have some final words. I'm fired up for our next episode. It's one of my really good friends. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll announce it, maybe we won't. But you guys got to tune in for that one, okay? I'm fired up. But yeah, this is Pacific Swings, and I'm a good podcaster.
See you next time.